Hi, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Lori with Chrysalis Graphic Design. I'm here to provide graphic design tips, tricks, and tutorials to help your ideas take flight. In this video, we're going to talk about color and why it is so important in your graphic design. Color can make or break a design, and we're going to talk about all aspects of it. This is part one of a two-part video series, so stay tuned at the end for more info on what's coming next, and also a free resource that I'm going to give you a link to. Don't forget to like this video, give me a thumbs up, subscribe down below, and let's get started. All right, the first thing we're going to cover today is the color wheel. Most people have probably seen it, some version anyway. Here's what mine looks like. We're going to break it down, don't worry. Almost everyone has heard of primary colors. You got it, it's red, yellow, and blue. Secondary colors are made simply by mixing the primary colors together. So red and yellow gives you orange, blue and red gives you violet, or purple as it's more commonly known, and blue and yellow gives you green. Do you know what a tertiary color is? We're going to do some more color mixing. Tertiary colors are made when you add a primary to a secondary color. So we've got red violet, red orange, yellow green, yellow orange, blue violet, and blue green. All right, now I'm going to give you some color terminology. We'll discuss hue and saturation, and then look at the difference between a tint, a shade, and a tone. When we talk about hue, we're talking about the very pure form of a color. Saturation, on the other hand, is the intensity of that color. So the more saturated the color is, the more intense and vibrant it's going to appear. If you decrease saturation, it's going to appear more dull. All right, let's talk about the difference between tint, shade, and tone, as these can be very easily confused. The first one, tint, is what you get when you add white to a color. A shade is what you get when you add black to a color. And a tone simply means that you're adding both. You're adding gray to a color. Now that we've got the basics of the color wheel down, let's talk about the two different color models. Two other color terms that you may hear are RGB and CMYK. One has to do with light and one has to do with pigment. We'll talk about CMYK first because that's the one that most people are familiar with when they think about the color wheel that we just covered. When you learned about color mixing in school, whether that was kindergarten finger painting or an art class in college, you most likely learned with the CMYK color model. CMYK stands for cyan, magenta, yellow, and black. The K stands for black because they didn't want to get confused with blue, I guess. CMYK is also the color model that you'll use if you're doing any graphic design work that is going to be printed. Now, if you're going to do design work that's going to be mainly digital, on the web, or on a screen, you're going to actually be using the RGB model. That stands for red, green, and blue, the main colors of light. The RGB color model is actually additive, so you get the different colors by mixing them and adding the light together. So when you add all the light together, you actually get white. Now, it's a little hard to wrap your mind around how red and green light make yellow. So there's a great video on YouTube that explains it way better than I could. So I'm going to link that down in the description bar below. So take a look at that. Now we're going to briefly go over each of the colors and the different feelings and emotions that they can bring to your designs when you use them. When you use white in your designs, it can convey emotions like purity, innocence, simplicity, hope, light, honesty, and cleanliness. Black, on the other hand, can convey the idea of formality, strength, authority, power, drama, even mystery or intelligence. Now let's move on to red. Of course, everyone associates it with romance and love, but it's also associated with warmth, energy, and intensity, even anger and danger. So be careful when you use it in your designs and use it sparingly. That's a pro tip. Orange is also associated with energy, but you can also use it to convey coziness, excitement, enthusiasm, even confidence. You can also use it to bring across an idea of change in your designs, or even happiness. And of course, yellow is also going to convey happiness, optimism, and cheerfulness in your designs. Yellow is also very intense and can convey caution, youth, and it's also associated with hunger. You'll see it in a lot of fast food chains. When you see green, do you think fresh, natural, growth, healing, tranquility, money, envy? Green can bring all of these feelings or emotions into your design. Use it carefully. Using blue in your designs can bring about a sense of calm, sincerity, truth, stability, even loyalty or wisdom. But be careful, because you could also evoke a sense of sadness depending on the shade that you use. That's a pro tip. Purple is often used to represent royalty, luxury, wealth, sophistication, respect, but it can also be used to evoke creativity or even to represent spirituality. Okay, here's a bonus for you. I know we didn't really cover pink separately in our color wheel, but remember, it's a tint of red. We added white, and it's one of the hottest colors trending right now, so I wanted to include it in this list. Depending on the shade of pink that you use, you can convey everything from the traditional romance, passion, and love to a sense of gentleness and calm, femininity, and even vibrancy. A few more pro tips for you. With red, like I said, it's a really intense color, so just make sure you use it sparingly as like an accent in your designs. Orange, not quite so much. You can get away with using a little bit more in a wider area of the design. Yellow. With a bright yellow, it's great as a pop of color. If you're using a more muted yellow, it's going to bring a lot of energy to your design. With green, the brighter it is, the more energy it's going to bring, so just keep that in mind. Blue and purple, the shade really matters, and it's going to make a difference in the feeling and the emotion that you bring out. So just play around with it and find the right version, the right shade for the design that you're doing. And overall, just remember to take your time when choosing your colors and try a few different versions, compare them, see what feels best, what makes sense for your design. And the other thing is just make sure that you are designing in the color space that your final design is going to be in. Make sure that if you're designing for the web, for something digital, that you're already designing in RGB, so you're ready to go. If you're designing something for print, design in the CMYK color space and print out some of your drafts. Print them at home, take them down to the print shop, and just see what they're actually going to look like. Now, every printer, of course, is different, but at least will give you a better idea of what you're actually going to see on the other end. So there's a lot to learn about color. Remember I said this was part 1 of 2? Stay tuned next week for that next video, and make sure you subscribe down below so you don't miss it. I put together a little handout with all the graphics from this video for you guys, and I'm going to put the link in the description bar down below. So check that out, but you are going to need a password to access it, and that's going to be right here. I hope this was helpful for you. If it was, please give it a like, thumbs up down below, and subscribe for more content. Don't forget to come back for part 2 of this series, where we are going to cover color combinations to use in your designs, some more pro tips, and take a deep dive into the Adobe Cooler project, which is a great way to decide on the colors you want to use and has a lot of amazing features. Thanks, guys.